when I checked out the book on the history of Golden Valley that was written within my lifetime, it starts when a white person arrives here. And that was literally erasing the history, a significant history of this area.
That's from Council Member Jillian Rosenquist as the Golden Valley City Council discussed developing a land acknowledgement. A land acknowledgement honors indigenous people as the original owners of the land that is now occupied by the city of Golden Valley. Golden Valley passed that land acknowledgement in May and plans to read a version of the statement at city events. Meanwhile, some organizations that have issued land acknowledgement statements have gone a step further. Last weekend, a Golden Valley church hosted an event to celebrate Native American culture and educate people about the tribes who once called the area home. Here's Delane Cleveland.
The community has grown from a farming community to residential, industrial, commercial.
By definition, history is an official record of a significant event. And according to Golden Valley Archives,
in 1851, the coercive Treaty of Mendota was signed.
The first pioneers settled here in 1852. But what may come as no surprise is that Native Americans lived in this area well before the mid-1800s. Educating people about that largely undocumented history was the impetus behind this event at Valley Community Presbyterian Church.
What we're doing is we're learning. We're learning all about how to be better neighbors in this community.
Last year, the church began the work of researching and creating a land acknowledgement statement to learn about the Dakota land that the church occupies.
This project is important because it helps us to fill gaps in knowledge and understanding of our Native neighbors and to learn about their stories.
But church leaders wanted to go beyond words on a piece of paper.
To do a land acknowledgement statement well and responsibly and respectfully, we need action.
Dr. Casey Keeler is an assistant professor of American Indian Studies. Over the last year, she's partnered with a church on an oral history project to learn more about Native people who have lived or currently live in the Bassett Creek watershed area, also known as Haha-Wakpadan.
So much of this work is to really acknowledge not only the history of Native people in suburbs and thinking about that land acknowledgement, that forced removal, the exile, but recognizing that Native people are here today, that suburbs truly are historically Indian places.
Dr. Keeler used this event to teach others about what's not mentioned in Golden Valley's historical archive. It's a difficult yet important conversation, and she hopes others follow suit.
We know that people who are alive today weren't direct participants in events that happened in the mid-19th century, but we are benefactors of those events.
In Golden Valley, Delane Cleveland, CCX News.
So what comes next after a land acknowledgement is created? First, the acknowledgement should never be read by an indigenous person. That's according to Randy Gresczyk, an Ojibwe language instructor in the Twin Cities and the director of American Indian Education with Anoka-Hennepin Schools. We asked him about next steps.
Let's do some actual work. Let's work with some people. Let's work with our indigenous people that know the area, our indigenous elders that know some of these stories, some of the histories that's not written down per se.
Also, earlier this spring, the Golden Valley Historical Society launched a project to inventory and catalog Native American resources in their collection. That project has been funded by a grant. And if you would like to learn more about a land acknowledgement and other topics that tackle the issues surrounding diversity, equity, and inclusion, then dive into our Diversity Minute series with Dr. Rashida Watts. These quick videos can help you learn more, and we have a link to those stories on our website, ccxmedia.org.
Find more local news stories at ccxmedia.org and follow us on social media.